Hello there, Namaste. Hope you all are doing well. Well, I missed you all a lot yesterday, but here we are back today. We just wanted some gap because we have done two, so giving time for you to watch them because the last one got quite long. So, okay, I'm back here with the series Tell Me Appa with my father, Dr Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani here. So, today is the third episode and I'm going to call it Life from Gurukula to Academic Education. Because he was born in Sri Kapliswami Pondicherry, and he was brought up there, and then he went to schooling at the age of 13. So we are going to ask this episode particularly will deal with more of his schooling and about his teachers, friends and all that, because I thought it would be quite an interesting topic for us to know how he went through his life. So I'll begin my first question. What was the role of your teachers during your teenage years in school? What would you consider the qualities of a good teacher?
I think I was very blessed, as so many of us in Bhavans Gandhi Vidyashram would admit, that what happened was I joined school when I was 13 and I went into 7th standard. And at that time when I joined Bhavans Gandhi Vidyashram, it is a residential school in Kodaikanal, right next to the golf club. And we had 35 acres of open space, and we were right on the top of the mountain. So from the back of the school you could see the plains down below, and I think it was about 8,000 feet high. So a very open space to grow up. So though it was a school, a normal school, though it was co-educational, though it was residential, it had this amazing space for the mind to be without fear, as Tagore tells us, where the mind can be without fear. That concept of freedom was very important, and Padma Bhushan, Professor Sadasivam, he had been the chairman of the school, and our first principal, Premilaka, along with Colonel Rajan sir, they gave us a space as a kid to grow up and be molded into something that was essentially our inner nature. We had amazing teachers, and I think one of the biggest blessings in being in Kodaikanal was, if you were not a dedicated teacher, you would not stay there. Because there was not much of social life. So, if you were in a city, you had a lot of social life, you had cinemas, you had malls, and up there you didn't have any of that. So anybody who stayed with us a long time was a dedicated teacher. So we had amazing teachers. Premilaka herself, I still remember my first English teacher, who was Kumaraswamy sir. He was amazing, very amazing person. I still remember many of the metaphors he gave us. We had Ravichandran sir teaching us mathematics, Srinivasan sir teaching us chemistry. We had a real plethora of people. And of course, as house parents, I had Goswami sir and Nanditaka. And they are the best house parents you could ever imagine. They were as good as being your parents. And to this day, I'm in touch with them, and really beautiful blessings. And of course, Mukesh sir, who I can never forget, he was our English teacher. And he and I had a lot of arguments in school, but today we have beautiful exchanges. So, what you realize is that sometimes a teacher has to be harsh on you, sometimes they have to correct you. And I feel that all of our teachers, the best part was that they enabled us to be ourselves. And along with our academics, we had the co-curriculars. And I think the biggest influence was, of course, my cricket. Sundar Anne and Sundarasan sir, Rajendran Anne, I think we had amazing time. The cricket field was our second home, and the discipline it taught us. Getting up early morning to go down and roll the pitch, put out the mat, get the boundary lines ready, get back in time for the Sunday morning dosa with Govindane and Mugi and all. And then get down there to play the match. And we were one of the best teams at that time. Bhavans had one of the best teams. So I think we had a very beautiful mixture of the academic, the co-curricular, where the body, the mind all aspects got developed in a beautiful way. And I think what I learned, the biggest lessons I learned from my teachers at Bhavans was dedication, love for the kids, and giving them a sense of freedom to grow rather than say you have to be this. And not saying this is the box in which you have to be, but here is the space in which you can become the best you. I think that is the biggest lesson I learned from all my teachers at Bhavans.
Okay, so that was actually really, it gave us a good experience, and it actually makes us feel like we are part of it. So, well, I'm feeling bad that I didn't go to that school. But I remember that just that all of you know that me and my brother, I think it was 3 years ago, it was during our quarterly vacation. We went to Kodaikanal and we stayed in a room that was like on top, and it was really cold, but it was a really nice trip. It was like, I think 3 days. We went by bus and we went to my dad's school, and we saw, and my dad had a session with all those kids, and there were still some people, like maybe the person who's in charge in the kitchen and all that, he still knew. And I think one of the sirs who was involved in the office also we knew. So
Bhaskar Nane, Rajendra Nane, and Govind Nane, all of them are still there.
Yeah, they're still there. So it was nice, and it was a really nice space, and I like the uniforms because it has like a sweater. I actually really liked it. I wanted to get one from them maybe.
Yeah, we needed a sweater because it was so cold. Okay, Kodaikanal is one of the cold hilly stations, so we needed that sweater. So that is why we had it. Trying to put on a sweater in Pondicherry heat,
that would be
it would be suicide. Okay, so that we don't want to do.
Okay, so the second question. No schooling for 13 years and then straight into boarding school away from home. Did you get homesick? How did you manage?
I think this question about homesick is a very interesting question, because I used to laugh at all the kids who got homesick because I wasn't homesick. And I think the reason was, part of my nature was, wherever you are there. So don't think of a place that you are not. Whereas what happens is, most people, when they go to one place, they are thinking about the other place. When they go to the other place, they're thinking of the first place. So they're never feeling at home wherever they are. So I think one of the good qualities that was there in me maybe was, when I was in school, I was in school. When I was in the ashram, I was in the ashram. When I was in medical college, I was in medical college. And I think that was a very important aspect of my schooling. Now it also helped that your grandma, Ammaji, she used to write me many, many letters every day. So every day the postman would have a minimum of 2, 3, sometimes 4 letters from Amma, where she was describing what was happening in the ashram. So today this happened and that happened and this was done and that was done. So what happened was, I never felt I was not in the ashram. So I always was up to date. So when I came home from holidays, it wasn't new. I knew what was going on. I knew who were the few new people. I knew what was there. So I could jump into it straight away. And again, the environment of the school was such that you felt at home. We were in what were called Niketans, which were the hostels. And we had the teachers who were our house parents. And, you know, when you have Goswami sir and Nandita ka, and we call them Akka. That was the feeling we had. And when you have such house parents, you know, you don't really miss home so much. So I think one was my own essential nature, but then also the amount of letters your party used to write. And the opening line of all the letters was quite amazing. It was divine bug. So as your brother said, there are some secrets of your father that come out in this series. So I used to have this divine bug Ananda. And I think that is beautiful, because many of my friends used to laugh at that. And I never realized how special it was. Because many of the kids could go through 4 months or 5 months and not get a single letter from home. And I had 4 or 5 letters coming virtually every day, which was an average of 10, 15 per week. So I think that was a very important thing, that your party made the effort to make me feel at home, even though I was at a home away from home. So I attribute that as a very important part. So I got the best of both.
Okay. So yeah, that's nice. And you know that Ammaji really loves writing and just
Absolutely.
anything to do with English literature or
Yes.
reading, writing. It's her meditation, and she just
Yes.
goes into it.
So
And
true.
even now, you will think she's sitting there, but she's doing so much that no one can do sitting in one place.
It's
Just for
amazing.
everyone to know.
In fact, yesterday she wrote a beautiful email which I was typing up for Rajudev, and she was talking about the metaphor of the wind coming across the Bay of Bengal, and how it was a painting being made by the long fingers of the palm trees. The leaves of the palm trees as the finger. It was an amazing metaphor, and I was just thinking, what an amazing creative mind that can see something and explain it in such beautiful poetic metaphors. I think one of the great things with your party is the poetic sensibility and the love for language, which she has, your Tata had it, and again with the Dr. John Mumford in Australia. And I think that is something I really imprinted a lot, that you look at the word and you try to understand what it is. And when you explore it that way, language comes alive and it becomes something which you then love a lot.
Well, again, me and my brother, we are really grateful and we must be thankful forever, because both of us, I think, got the English spoken language plus the written language from her, because always we have been toppers in English.
Yeah.
If not number one, at least number two. And the teachers in school itself know that we have some talent, and they itself, they have a lot of conversation, especially English. Like, we both are good at language, but especially English, like even now, that's the total credit will be Patty.
Very, very much, because the way she expresses, the language has to come alive. Many people think of language as a subject. It cannot be a subject. It has to become part of you. And that way she has really made it very much part of all of us. Very true there.
Okay, so the third question. Have you ever felt seeing Anandraj Bhavanani, your son, mischievous, and you remembering them being done by you when you were young?
Okay, that's a tough one. You see, actually, we always talk about recapitulation of anthogeny and phylogeny and stuff like that. And it is very interesting how you see these patterns. Sometimes it's tough to imagine that I was ever as naughty as him. But then many of the people who saw me grow up, they remind me that yes, I was quite naughty. And I remember Lakshman sir, our Natya guru, he used to always talk about, you cannot find Ananda on the ground, he's always in the trees. So, even when I used to visit Chennai with Ammaji, she used to have a dance class and I used to be, running around. And whenever, Lakshman sir would look for me, I would be in one of the trees, most probably with his sons, Baba and Krishna Prasad. And, definitely that was there. But I think we were naughty, but not in a bad way. And even with your brother, I don't think it's naughty in a bad way, in the sense of it is not meanness, it is not destructiveness, but it's a naughtiness that is just part of a charming spirit that is there. But one thing I remember very much doing, which is very, very naughty, was I had a pet monkey. And I had a lot of monkeys in the ashram, something that you people haven't had. And even I think there's a photo back here with Tata and monkeys up there. Yeah. There's one with Tata and monkeys in the ashram where, they used to come when he was in class and sit on top of his head and all. Yeah. So I had a pet monkey, we called him Hanu, short for Hanuman, but it became Anu. And this guy, what we used to do is that we were very naughty. We used to play with him. He used to be in our hand and all. And we used to actually tie his hand behind the back. Okay, now if you tie the monkey's hands behind the back, it has to walk on two legs. And so, he had to run around in that area on two legs like a human being, because he couldn't crawl because his hands were there. Now when I look back, I say that was very mean of me and I should not have done it. But he was a lot of fun. Hanu was very fun. And in fact, sometimes when he used to come, Tata would put his finger on, the Bhrumadhya of Hanu, and he'll go, something like that. He used to chatter the teeth, and your Tata used to say he's saying Om Namah Shivaya. So, that was there. But, I don't, and again, in school, one thing we used to always, want to go and get extra. So, if you had a gulab jamun on, Friday night or something, everybody wanted to get an extra one. Now, what used to happen is I had a problem because others could go and say I never got it. But if I went, they knew it was me because I was the one white kid in the school. So I couldn't ask for it. So that used to be a bit of a trouble how to do it. And then at one time, another kid came into school, Satya Wilson, who was also white. He was from Bangalore. And so at least for the time he was in school, I used to be able to say, no, maybe he got it, not me, and confuse people a little bit. But other than that, I don't think we were really naughty. And in fact, in medical school, I must tell you, this has gone beyond school to college. I was always, in the front row along with my friends, Manish, Lavkush, and Anu and others, Anita, Quatra and all. But what used to happen is we would be in the front row all the time. So every teacher, professor knew I was there. And what happened is one afternoon, because we saw that in the afternoon sessions, many of our friends would bunk the classes and go to a movie. They would go to the afternoon show. So then one day we decided, okay, the few of us who were such regular students, we would bunk that afternoon. Because if we were missing, others would also be there. So like the teacher would not notice us. And what happened, we got to the movie theater. It was a movie of Shah Rukh Khan. And at the theater, we saw our whole batch had bunked the class.
Oh my God.
So nearly at least 90 out of the 100 were in the theater the same afternoon. So you know what happened? Our microbiology professor, Nimbalkar sir, the next day he had us all lined up outside. And I still remember it was the one attempt I made to bunk a class and I had to get caught. So I think one good thing I realized is that if I do something naughty, I get caught. So it is like a protective mechanism that prevents me from doing things that were too naughty. And I think that's good to have some of those mechanisms too.
But also, we stand out in the crowd. That's one thing.
See, that's why I often say, it becomes your yama niyama. So if you understand that standing out of the crowd as both a yama and niyama, it is a yama because you cannot do anything that is wrong because you will be caught. So for example, if Anandraj does something in school that's wrong, he'll immediately be caught because everybody knows him. Yes. Now there may be other people in his class who can do it and escape because they couldn't identify who it was. Yes. It was one of the group. Same thing with you. So one is it prevents you from doing anything wrong. So it is like your yama, which is a restraint. But it also becomes your niyama because when you do something good, immediately you are identified. Yes. So every one of your school teachers, everyone in your school, be it Primrose or Vidya Niketan, would know you. So anything good you do or your brother does would be highlighted and it becomes your niyama. So what I realized is being someone who stands out in the crowd, what happens is it is your yama because it prevents you from doing anything that you should not do, and it becomes your niyama because it motivates you to do what you should do because you will be highlighted. So I think in that way, it is a very good opportunity for us to grow. So for me, standing out on the crowd, well, it's both your yama and the niyama, which basically is part of your own growth.
Yes. Okay, so the fourth one, I don't know, it might be a little naughty. Okay, so have you had any special affection or attachment on your peers, classmates? Was it good or you laugh at yourself? Any experience to share with us kids who are in that phase of life now?
Oh my God, seriously. I knew I was getting into trouble with this interview series, but I never knew it would be at this level. See, as you grow up, there are going to be a lot of people that sort of you have your crush on. There are going to be people who are special in your life. And then there are going to be people who you think would be the special one. And then later on you realize that it was not to be that way. And that is actually better.
Something to learn.
Definitely. So right from 7th standard, I remember having crushes on people and losing some of my best friends because I expressed it in a different way. And I had lot of those type of experiences which were good because you realized that it was not what you thought it was. And in fact, at one point in school, I remember introducing one of my junior girls to Swamaji and Ammaji who had come to school. And I said, she is going to be my future wife. And Swamaji, Tata, just looked at me and laughed at me. He just smiled and let it, that's all. He didn't say anything. See, that is one of the greatness, that instead of saying, oh, what this, that, he just smiled and left it. And then, a couple of months later, I realized that it was not to be that way. And so, what you realize is that you go through these phases. But I think I have had some amazing friendships from school. I've had some amazing friendships in college. Very, very dear friends. Anu Malhotra, for example, in college, a very dear friend who really helped me be the best me. Rajshri Kakani, Anita Quatra, these are people who stand out. And of course, Lavkush Tiwari, Manish Tiwari, these were people who really, Anurag Parashar, these are people who really sort of enabled me to be the best me. And at school level, I still can never forget Shiva Kumar. Shiva and I were really, really close friends. And in fact, there were a lot of jokes because, we couldn't be separated. That was the type of friendship we had, Shiva and I. And of course, Amathalingam and myself as opening batsmen in cricket, that was an amazing time. So, there are all these moments that enable you to realize that each relationship you have is part and parcel of you growing as a human being. And that one should never hold on to the relationship, because the more tighter you hold the relationship, the more chances of it breaking. And that is why in relationships one has to give space for the other person. Giving space for the other person enables them to grow and the relationship to grow as it should. So people think of relationships only in a sensual, sexual manner, but people don't realize relationships can be amazing. And as your grandfather used to say, Swamiji used to say, you can love everyone even if you don't like everyone. And you realize that love is something that transcends even like and dislike. And that is something that I think has really been part of my life. But each and every person who came into my life, virtually everybody is special, but some were a bit more special. They have contributed to what I am today, and I hope I have contributed to what they are today. Because I was just looking at Facebook the other day where Smita, who's now an amazing pediatrician in USA, and she was with me for the first 2 years in my medical training. And she wrote a comment that, Divya, your father was someone who even as a, co-student in college, the other students used to look up to me and have that respect that they had for a professor. So, to have that respect from your co-students, the love from your co-students, and to be able to share with them, I think it is very, very special. So each and every one who has been part of that, Shobana Nigam, Smita, Rajshri, Anu, all of these in college, Anita, and Panchashil sir, the dawn of JNMC, well, we will never get over that. Amazing people, and each one of them contributing to who we are.
Okay, this question I must ask, okay. Have you ever felt bad that you didn't have a sibling born with you? Do you miss it, or you think it's better when you see that you have me and my brother? Well, we fight a lot, but we do love each other and all that. And another little question along with it. In your school or college, did you have maybe a younger sister or brother, they were your classmates or friends, but you felt with them like your own sibling? And
okay, this is a loaded question. I don't think I ever missed having a brother or sister, and one of the reasons why was that Swamiji and Ammaji at Kambli Swami Madam created the whole ashram atmosphere with all the children. So there was always somebody with me. I had people to play with, I had people to fight with, I had people to learn with. So I never felt alone in that way. And yes, there have always been a few people who have had that special bonding. But I've been very careful because for me the word sister, brother takes on a very big responsibility. And Madhavi, yes, I had one of my juniors in school who was the closest to a real sister, I would say. She really had that. And similarly, there have been a few of the classmates who would have been a brother. But I think this sort of carried more into Yoganjali Natyalayam, where for me many of the kids, because especially as they became older, they actually took on a role of me being an elder brother to them and them being my younger brother and younger sister. It's sort of, that is the type of relationship that I think came. So Kamli Swami Madam gave me a lot of those relationships. Yoganjali has given me those relationships. At school there have been a few. So I haven't missed it as such. And I think it is also good because it is good to have someone to rub against as far as the ego goes and to fine tune ourselves, because a diamond cannot be a diamond without having all the friction. So the other person enables us to grow. So I don't think it is about the siblings, but I think it is about people comparing the siblings. And this is where I think we as parents and elders and teachers should realize that each person is different, and that is why each person should be looked at as who they are, rather than, you are like this and your sister's like that, or your brother's like this and you are like that. That is where the friction comes in most families. And I think what is very important is to understand, as I often tell you, you are you, your brother is your brother. And each one of you has your own specialities, and those are the specialities that have to be brought out. What you have as skills, he may not have. What he has, you may not have. And each one is special. And I think this is why comparison is where the problem comes, and I think families should not compare. That is where sibling rivalry comes in, when they find comparisons. And if we can accept that both, or how many of us siblings are there, each one is special in their own way, I think we respect the individuality, and then they can be the best what they are. And that's just what it is. So, comparison is a major issue, and people often do it out of love, and sometimes people do it out of jealousy. So that is there. But even across that, people compare, son and father. So, the danger always there with somebody like me is that they start comparing with my father. Now, my father was my father. He had his life experiences. He grew up in a certain time frame of the world, had certain experiences, and became what he was. I was born at a later time frame. I have had my experiences. I am me. But there is always going to be this comparison. And Sachin Tendulkar's son Arjun, he has that comparison. Sunil Gavaskar's son Roshan Gavaskar, he had that same problem. So, this is something that we have to stop comparing and realize that each one of us is the best individual that we can be, and we need to work towards that.
Okay, so I think I've asked and I'm satisfied. Maybe in this topic, not yet in the whole. There's still more to come. And just to mention again, I thank Balaji sir, Reena miss and Karpagam miss for asking few of these questions. And this was part, and the other questions were my questions. So thank you. And we'll be back to you soon with the 4th episode coming. So thank you, keep watching, and love you all. Take care.
I just wanted to end by saying a big thank you to each and every one who has been part of my life at Kamli Swami Madam, at Yoganjali Natyalayam, at Bhavans Gandhi Vidyashram, and at JNMC. Because each one of those experiences has made me what I am today. And each one of you who have been part of my life, I may or may not have told your name today, my teachers, my friends, my classmates, my juniors, my seniors, well, I love you all because you have enabled me to be what I am today. So a big thank you to all of you.
Okay, thank you.